be.
Especially this, yes, exactly, are imaginary. All dreams are, I believe. But the 15 kilometres that we've got are a nightmare, Sean. And as you can see, he's got a little bit of a tailwind, but only forgiving at the very last. So Stora's going to come through. He takes the mountains points, just eases a little bit. You can see the effort he put into it. He's got 2 minutes and 10. And look at this road. Now, they've only gone and repaired it, which means that, all right, we don't have any potholes, but if we've got some fresh asphalt on the descent here, and it's a bit more of a goaty road than the one we had earlier on today. That was a 12-kilometre descent, wasn't it? This one is 7 kilometres, and it is not in great condition, at least on the climb, as you can see here. A little bit of patchwork. We do have some moisture in the air as well. Now, if that's settled on some of the new surface, as we've said in the past, it can draw the oil out of the asphalt and make it rather nasty. You can see it gets very, very shiny, and that's precisely what we're worried about on the descent. 7 kilometres of it. Who wants to take some risks on this one, Sean, when there's so much climbing to be had? I've got a feeling they might be quite tentative. Bardet still kicking on here.
Sorry, he is. Yes, he's kicking on, and he just wants to just hold on out in front here, and you can see there the road. It is not a nice one at all with the wet, damp conditions. The road patches as well, and that's where it becomes dangerous. The new patches here in the corners, as you say, sometimes it's a bit more greasy, oily, and I don't think anybody will take big risk here, because the big favourites in the main peloton, they know that it's all about getting down this descent safely, and the big one to come. So I don't see anybody should take real risk here, depending on the situation. Stora's the one probably want to push on a bit more. It'll be interesting now to see Bardet when he gets onto this section. Will he try and really push on, because he is an excellent descender, but again, this is a one where you have to be careful.
You certainly do. This descent is not over yet, despite the fact it appears to have flattened out as we go past the 20 kilometres to go marker. The worst kind of relayed road is in the middle of a corner if there is a surface change, because that means grip levels alter, Sean, and that can catch you out.
Yes, it can, and this is a one where if you really push on big time, you could get caught out, and we can see here onto just a new section of tarmac there, and when you're going downhill at a real fast rate, that's where it becomes very dangerous. We can see here on the back of the main peloton the race leader for a number of days, Eiking. He's just hanging in there with a teammate in the last position of what's left of the main peloton of contenders.
I think that will probably be Louis Mainkeys, who's been going very well over the last couple of days. Tara May was busy earlier on today, and he's under the trees here with the moisture still hanging around. Keep your fingers crossed. Plenty of warning signs, and some padding as well, Sean, just to help those who get out of shape. Here is Bardet. He's managed to shake off Bizkarra. He's charging into the gap that's been posted by his teammate Stora.
Yes, he is, and talking about the padding on the barrier there, it was the minimum of padding. And on a descent like this, you would expect maybe a bit more, but it's looking that Bardet is starting to push on a bit here, and he's a real good descender, of course. And we see Stora as well in the previous stages. Some of the descents he wasn't that comfortable on, but getting down this one quite well, and not taking these huge risk, and you cannot afford to do that, because if you push it a little bit too much, then you can find yourself sliding out and on the deck.
Well, keep your fingers crossed. There is Bizkarra. Oh, was that Bardet behind him? I'm not quite sure. It was almost a flash image there. Whoa, that one tightened up, Sean. That was a scary Mary. There's a few more as well. There's some stone walls here, just waiting to welcome them in with open arms. Hope they come down safely, and Bahrain Victorious making a very good fist of this as well. Now, we only have a couple of kilometres left of this descent, and then we're straight into a whole world of hell, Sean.
Well, that's where the real hell begins on this 14k, and we can see 154, 155 at the moment. It hasn't come down. It was around a 215, I think, on the beginning of that climb, which Dora have went over the top in the leading position, taking maximum points for the mountain classification. We can see him here. He's just going down at a real good rate, but. Yeah, I think the peloton, with the teams that are on the front, they know they're in control and they feel that they can, pull this man back on this really difficult 14-kilometre climb. And with the gradient, I would be thinking the same, that he's not going to be able to hold on out here in this real difficult final. And unfortunately for him, because he's done again a tremendous ride here today, but the terrain just that too much difficult in the end to battle against the peloton, a big part of the peloton of main challengers.
It's a beautiful road, Sean, I must admit, and what a gift to have it closed for us to go racing. You'd have to respect the centre line far more, indeed, of course, on an occupied road. But yeah, it's just a beautiful run in. Down to the foot of our final climb that we're witnessing at the moment. Just going to welcome back our wider Eurosport family, and hopefully all of the riders will get down here safely. It looks like they are going to do so. Margin health is 151. Finally, our nerves are beginning to settle just a little bit. We're almost at the foot of our final climb, the Gamoniteiru. Here we go. 16 kilometres then from home, and the man out front, Stora, is still out there, just about to be closed in on by Romain Bardet, his teammate. Climb is up ahead at the foot of it. Bernie and Alberto are at the finish up the Gamoniteiru. Let's have a word with them, shall we, and find out their thoughts on this punishing climb. Well, it seems we're not quite ready for them. 15.6 kilometres then from home, 500 metres before he gets to the foot of the climb. First on to the battlements will be about 8%. In just a few moments we will indeed hear from Bernie Eisel and Alberto Contador. But this man's going to hit the climb first. He's got a margin of 1:49. It doesn't seem like a huge cushion, Sean, considering the firepower behind him. We'll come to Sean for those thoughts in a few moments' time. Finally, we do have Bernie and Alberto to have a chat about the test he's about to take on.
Alberto and I are on the top of the Gamoniteiru. This is a hard climb. It's not only hard to say. I've heard everything. The little cousin of the Angliru, the sister of the Angliru, the little brother of the Angliru. I can only say it's a really hard climb. You did it the first time. What do you think about this climb?
Es un puerto durísimo. Es un puerto
very
durísimo.
Tough climb. The first part is the cobertoria part. That is well known already. But these last kilometres that we see here are very narrow. Obviously, a car cannot pass here, and percentages and the gradients are very tough. I think that this climb will stay on the Vuelta. I think it's going to be a legendary climb, and today we take it for the first time.
At the same time, it's cloudy up here. It's a bit foggy, but nice temperature. It's small roads. The tarmac here is proper new, but it's really broken up on the way up, but it's going to be a really hard climb for the riders.
The way Alberto just jogs off there, he wants to get himself back in a warm camper van. Sean, I think he's working for our Spanish service, of course, and he wants to not miss a minute of this. It's as simple as that. Yes. And why would you?
Well, you can see there that it's not nice conditions up there in that fog, but that will not affect the riders, because when they get to that point, they will be after working so much, the body will be so warm. They will welcome, I think, the cooler conditions, but we can see here the race is on, and again it's the team who've been doing a huge amount of work today. Bahrain victorious, and now are coming on to this real important part of the Vuelta. This could be maybe the most difficult finish of the Vuelta. We had the Angliru yesterday, but this one, you can see where Alberto and Bernie were standing there, like real narrow roads, a new surface. It is going to be a big test for all.
We'll have a look at the profile in a few moments' time, and you saw just how steep it was towards the end. The average is declared at 17%, but it's at the very last. It says maximum 17%, and it's at the death, as you will, at the end of today. Bardet making a good fist of this. He's got 34 seconds on the red jersey for the moment, but let's have a look at the Gamoniteiru as it is represented graphically. And graphic, I think you might describe it as well, in terms of its brutality. Here it is. Look at that, Sean. It is relentless.
Yes, it is. I can see there, the percentage. You can see it's a one where about the halfway point it does give a little bit of respite, but it's not going to help a lot, because before that you have these percentages as real killers, 14.5%, and then after the little bit of a respite in the middle, it goes all the way to the top. And this one is going to be a real test here. And if you're struggling at all in the final kilometre, 2 kilometres, you could lose so much time. It just grows out to be maybe a minute or 45 seconds so quickly.
You saw the road there, Sean. It looked like a black wall he was just about to crash into. As it suddenly kicked up, the percentages changed dramatically, and I suggest to you that every 0.5% beyond 10, you feel it exponentially as a difficulty. It gets exponentially harder with every 0.5%, doesn't it?
Yes, and when you've been out there today, with a difficult day after what they've been through yesterday, at this point in the race, all of that will take effect on the riders, and it's just the fittest of the men here are going to battle out for stage. The guys who have that bit more freshness here, bit more power left in the tank, they will slowly pull away from the riders, and we can see here that it's setting up for a big final between the men here. 2:18, we can see there, the peloton is certainly not pushing on, but I think they feel that they can close this one down, and I would be in the same situation. If I was here in the bunch, I would be thinking, well, a rider that's been out for a long time during the day, he's going to really suffer when he hit the real steep sections a little bit further up here, where he's just about to come onto at the moment.
Gosh, you kind of look through a group like this and you just see who's looking comfortable. Sepp Kuss is busy taking on feeds at the moment, just staying planted and putting the resources back in, and it looks like Bardet has run out of those. As you can see, about 15 seconds only, and a little bit less than that. Stand clear of the yellow line. There's a train coming through, and it's a rack of talent we've got right now, Sean. There'll be some probing going on here before the final gameplay. It's going to take quite some time to deal with these 13 kilometres, Sean.
Yes, well, it will take a long time to get these 13 kilometres done because of the percentage, and you can see it's Movistar are starting to just set up the two men, Mas and Lopez. Jose Rosas is the one in the front here, and you can see they're just all following here. Nobody concerned at the moment this point of the race, because with 13 kilometres to go, you can wait for a long time on this one, and if you wait for that final number of kilometres where it is a very steep percentage all the way to the finish, well then in a matter of 2 or 3 kilometres, if you go and you're really strong at that point, well, you could take a lot of time out of riders who are struggling.
Well, setting the pace. We've got Bahrain Victoria's just tucked in behind. Bardet has now been reabsorbed. Still 2 minutes and 16 to Stora's on a fantastic ride. But you just feel that this battle has not actually ignited just yet. You saw Chapouzin, no slouch in situations like this, just off the back, and he won't be the last. There'll be more that start to suffer, and here Odd Christian Eiking as you can see, working nicely with Patilli. No sign of just keep constantly just looking for Louis Menkes here, but it's Jan Hurt who's the other one within this group for Intermarché Wanty. Can't see Louis for the time being. Meanwhile, as we look deeper back through this group, Miguel Angel Lopez doesn't look overly stressed at the moment. His teammates have been doing much of the chasing. It still holds at a margin of 2:18. It's kind of as you were at the moment. 13 kilometres an hour tells a big story, Sean, of what they're dealing with.
Certainly does, and you can see there, there's the focus on the riders now, and you just have to get into this climb and make sure that you're using the right gear, that you're not too heavy in the gear but not too light either, because if you're spinning too much, it's not the thing. So you have to find the cadence that you're pretty comfortable with, and at this point, the real big ones here in the peloton, they should be comfortable enough, and if you're not, well, then you're going to say, I'm not feeling the best here, and then it starts to work on your head and your thinking, and that's the time you just follow and you wait off, and the thinking of going in the attack, it doesn't really come into your mind then, if you're just starting to just hang on in there, and you're hoping that you will be able to stay there, and that's what's going through a lot of the riders' minds now. Depending on your feeling, well, that will make up your mind pretty quickly.
It's an uphill time trial for Michael Storer at the moment. 2-stage wins to his name. Bardet tried to bridge over to him, collected some minor mountains points, but this man owns the polka dot jersey just for the time being. Well, they're burning their team, Movistar, and they're short-handed, don't forget, with Verona adding to their list of absentees. And the Chapeausan went out of the back. 82R Citroën wanting to make something of a statement. There is Rojas, and the tongue says it all, really. There's going to be plenty of those hanging today, I can tell you. Busy. I think it's fair to say. Geoffrey Bouchard, it is, that just manages to get a modest gap for the time being. It'll take a great deal of luck, I think, apart from anything else, to hold at bay the sort of firepower we've got behind. Still, it could be quite a cagey battle, Sean, until we get to the very last slopes. We've got, 6 kilometres of hurt before we have a little bit of respite. You described it in the middle. Around about 6.5 kilometres from home, we have 800 metres of 3.5%. But that's not going to offer up much rest, because immediately, straight after that, we have 5.7 kilometres of absolute hell all the way to the line. And this is going to feel like a motorway, Sean, a highway, compared to the sort of ribbon of asphalt that we've got at the very end.
Yes, it is, and the riders will be aware of that. They will have seen this, and they will have videos before the start, and the riders especially that, and there's a lot of them who haven't seen this climb because of it being a first time in the Vuelta, but they will be aware, and by the time we get to that narrow section where we see at the top, I think it will be pretty well stretched out. There'll be not too many riders in the leading group as we have now, unless they just make a very easier pace for a long time up this climb. But I think there will be riders who will start hitting off, and that means in the final 4K it's a long time or a long way out to hit off at 4K. But some of the riders will be thinking, okay, I'm feeling okay here now, and the position I'm in the GC standings, I have to hit from a bit further out to make up some time if that's the case. And they will be all thinking of the GC standings. They'll be thinking as well what's to come. There might be not a lot of opportunities to get time from the other riders that they need to get it, and the time trial at the end of the race here on Sunday, that'll be all registered in your mind. So today is a day where if you're on a good one, well, then this is when you can do a lot of damage and make up time. And if you're not on a good one, unfortunately, then you have to say, well, I'm going to have to dig deep here and just try and limit my losses and try and stay with the men I need to. And if I cannot stay with them, try and keep them in sight. And if you lose them out of sight, well, then you just have to focus and just give it all, just fight for your life in the final number of kilometres.
Roglic still leading his team, as you can see. There is Bardet, who reached a short while ago. Grosshartner, who fell yesterday, is implanted within this group, as you have seen. And it is Jon Izagirre, not Gorka, who's made the trip here. Looking at Simone Patilli, no sign of Louis Meintjes within that group. Meanwhile, been watching a little bit earlier on as well. Caruso doing a phenomenal job of guiding them up, and fantastic. He was in the polka dot jersey, we remind you, after taking that spectacular stage 9 victory, and still they push on. And look at the faces of everybody here, Sean. They're dialed into the task at hand, and it's a huge one that they've got.
Yes, they're very much dialed in, and I think some there might be fear in their in their minds here, and we can see Meintjes is there, and he's difficult to pick out because he's such a small
easily
rider.
Screened, yeah.
He's easy to, out of vision here, but I see him just a moment ago a bit further back there, and yeah, we can see Viking still just clinging on here and trying to hold on. We can see Guillaume Martin also up here, 81, just is hoping that this will go on for quite a long time, because he is another rider that if it starts to kick off a long ways out, well then he could start losing more time. And in the GC standings, he's still very much up there, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to stay where he is in 5th position, so he will be happy with it at the moment. But I'm afraid that there's a lot of other ideas with some of the riders and the teams here, and there's a long time to do that with 11.2k for a leader out on the road. It's a long way to a killer of a finish here to this stage.
Louis Meintjes is wearing a different helmet to the rest of his team, by the way, so over the pack. He was easily missed. Apologies for that, but yes, he is there, which is good, because Intermarché Wanty have had a fabulous race. Stage win of Reintar Romeo went to the red jersey, we remind you, and not Christian Eiking, who was in red for such a long time. Shame for him, he took a tumble yesterday, because he's showing that he's still got good legs, Sean. He's part of the pack.
Yes, he is, and anybody is here in this chasing group, you're still in quite good shape. But unfortunately, there's a lot of riders in much better shape, and that is the problem with a stage like this, and it's such a difficult climb here with this killer of a gradient. The little bit more energy, and you only need just a tiny little bit. But when it gets to the real steep gradient in that final number of kilometres, if you're not as good as the rider you need to stay with, it just goes away from you. You're on the rear wheel of the rider, then there's a half a wheel, then there's a wheel, then it becomes a bike length, then 2 or 3 bike lengths. He just goes away from you in slow motion almost.
Certainly does. 10.8 kilometres from home. It is a slow bicycle race at the moment, and it's Ineos Grenadiers who are just moving themselves up towards the front. Adam Yates, what can we expect from him today? I suspect he may well offer us up a move. He's just looking very concerned about the riders who are around him. You can see Primož Roglič in his red jersey. Yates just wanting to know what the task is at hand and who he's got to beat here. Sivakov riding well, as you can see as well, number 136 there, just looking beyond Roglič. On Roglic's shoulder, the man he shared the day with yesterday, or much of it. Didn't share the glory though. Bernal ran out of resources, Sean, and that's in itself is something that they're all going to have potentially to experience today.
Yes, well, Bernal, he had not a lot of choice yesterday. He had to try and strike out from quite a bit out and see what the reaction would be behind, see who was going to do the chasing. And unfortunately, the team of Bahrain Victorious, they were the ones who really, kept the pace very high in that valley and got onto the climb to the Lagos to Covadonga. And then, the other men from the team are doing the business for Jack Haig, and Bernal did run out of steam big time, and as he went further up, of course, we see that he was struggling majorly. But yeah, he had to try, and we talked about that many days ago. Bernal, the position he was in, that wasn't a position where he wanted to defend. He wanted to try and move up into GC. And again today, maybe these riders, although he suffered big time yesterday, they recover so well, and he could be one that could try something again today in the final number of kilometres. And because we're getting into the final 10 kilometres, as we say, the final 3 kilometres, 4 kilometres, if you push on and you're on a real good day, well, then you could take a lot of time out of your rivals.
Well, that's what this man's trying to do, precisely that. David de la Cruz, he wants to get something more from this race than it has offered him so far. 8 minutes and 34 down he is overall, sitting in 13th place. This could be a top 10 for him, opening up for him right now. And so those who sit in front of him, what is the response going to be? 3 places in front of him is, 4 I should say, is Felix Grosshartner, who's part of this group as well. Nobody surely will want to miss out, and let us see. It's a big reach out. They've already been lively, Team UAE Emirates, and now you can see why. Clearly, you said on a good day, Sean, you can show your class, and we know David de la Cruz is a classy rider, and the Spaniard, he could save Spanish hopes today with a victory that has eluded Spain so far in their very own Grand Tour.
No, sorry, Carlton. I don't think it's going to happen for the Cruz here. And we see David de la Cruz on a number of times in this race when you're on a final climb and there's a lot of teammates around protecting their leaders, and he goes in the attack. And you're riding against the teammates of the riders that you're challenging, and they're getting an easy carry up the climb. I know on the climb there's not a huge amount with drafting and all of that, and the watts you can conserve or spare, let's call it. But still, when you have a rider from a team riding in front of you, it is a big advantage. And with 10 kilometres to go on a climb like this, David de la Cruz, I can't see him going anywhere. And he's done it in the past, and got pulled back, and I don't think it's going to happen here today.
Kelly, you're a heartbreaker. Well, let's see. I was saying that he was asking the question of those around him in the top 10, and even any modest gaps, it's going to require work rate to stop him. Is the point? Whether he'll have a chance of taking the day is of course up for dispute. But he's going to let his legs do the talking just for the time being. It's a modest gap that he has for the as we stand. But as you say, Sean, there's other riders with I guess more dialed in credentials that sit behind him at the moment. There's a whole raft of talent right here, and just look at the names that we've got to conjure with. This is phenomenal.
Yes, it is. When you see the names, when you see the riders flashing through here, these riders are just super talented riders, super climbers, and ones can manage this one finish.
Roglic just rolling with it for the time being. Adam Yates, Bernal, they're all here. It's amazing. It's like a theatre of drama we've got right now. Mas with Lopez on his back wheel. Bahrain, who've done so much work and still very much where they need to be. Pauls will be taking over duties in a few moments' time on behalf of Jack Haig, who's the man they're working for. Gino Mada's done a phenomenal job, and so has Caruso today, Brian. Sorry, Sean.
Yes, well, Caruso and World Pools has done it yesterday again, and they're back in the business again here, just setting the pace for Jack Haig. And we know that Jack Haig likes a very strong pace. He's not the rider that can put in a sudden acceleration like some of the climbers we have seen there, like a Miguel Angel Lopez, like Adam Yates. Those guys, they can put in a big punch and they can slow it down again, and then they can go again. Jack Haig, he likes just this real strong pace and try and grind his rivals down, and also not give him the opportunity to do that where they put in those attacks. And he has just a brilliant team here with him. And Caruso, of course, he's an excellent rider. Pools when he's on form, and he's in form as well. And then he has the last man there with him, Mader. He's going to be with him for a long time up this climb. We see that yesterday on Lagos. He did just slowly pull back the riders that went in the attack and got Jack Haig back in with the men he needs to be with at the finish. I
think on the day yesterday, for me, Gino Mader looked like one of the finest riders on the mountain. He's going to sacrifice himself again for Jack Haig. Nothing wrong with that. It's a battle plan. I'd love to see Jack take a victory. It'd be amazing. Caruso, of course, has had one, and indeed it came with a polka dot jersey. And I guess on this incline, if he wants a steady pace, then he's got the Master Diesel engine, I think you might say, in Wout Poels to do that job for him. Adam Yates looks like he's on a hair trigger at the moment, but I have to say, likewise, I've got the same vibe coming off Miguel Angel Lopez. We're going to have a punch-up here today, Sean. This is going to be absolutely fantastic, and Primoz Roglic is going to have to stand up to the test.
Yes, we're definitely going to have a punch-up, and you can see, the tension is building there, and we just get further up this climb. And when you look at 9.2 kilometres, you might be thinking, well, why is not anybody attacking? But because of the gradient in the final number of kilometres, I think, they know that you cannot go from a long way out, meaning, 6 or 7 kilometres out. 3-4 kilometres out would be a long way, and I think that's what they're all thinking about. And yeah, we might see a surprise from the team of Bahrain victorious. Will Mader be allowed a free hand, and if he goes in the attack, we could see the other ones looking at each other. But I think really it's all about Jack Hagan trying to hold on to the position he have, and if possible move up in the GC standings. And it's just such a slow kilometres here because of the gradient. It just seems like it's taken forever to get to the top of this one, and you look at it, 9 kilometres still to go, and the difficult section we have to get through all the way to the finish. It's going to be a real energy sapper.
Geoffrey Bouchard is just about to be tagged. His fellow countryman Guillaume Martin is riding brilliantly. He still sits in 5th place. The man from Cofidis, Sean, who's just behind Bouchard in the chase at the moment. All credit to him. He's been sitting in 2nd place. He's ebbed just a little bit yesterday, the Frenchman from Cofidis, but well worthy of a mention. What a superb race he has had.
Yes, well, he has had a great race, and of course he moved up in the GC standings through a breakaway as well. He done it already in the Tour of France this year, and he's in a real good position in 5th place if he can hold on in there. But I am concerned as well in this final number of kilometres. He is going to start to suffer, and to hold that position with a Bernal, Yates, Kuss, Großschartner, all of those guys behind him in the GC standings. And we have seen yesterday he was struggling. Today as well, we see him in the earlier part of the stage. He didn't look comfortable, but sometimes riders can go through a patch where they have a half hour, an hour where they suffer a lot, and then they come around in the finish and they finish very strongly. But the problem is with this climb, it being so steep, the gradient, well, it's going to be a difficult one unless you're really on top of your game against the riders that he has to battle against. It's difficult for him to hold on to that position in GC.
I've got to tell you, Sean, that David de la Cruz has virtually, anyway, just taken over 10th place from Gino Mader. So he's doing a great job at the moment. I'm sure the pace is going to change exponentially as once we get onto this little flatter section, and then almost like a punishing slow bicycle race all the way to the line. We're coming into the clouds as well. Visibility may well become something of a challenge. You may have noticed as well, we've not got any aerial shots for the time being, and that's because the helicopters can't film through this. A piece super potentially. So ground shots we've got for the moment, which will give you very much a rider's eye view. And De La Cruz is making a bid here for the top 10, Sean.
Yes, well, he is being allowed to hang out there in front of the big group of main contenders here, and you can see there it's not really pushing on in that chase group. So will he be able to hold on? I still do not believe in it, the way he's riding here, and you can see Caruso is just setting a strong pace, and in the meantime the rest of the riders there from Bahrain victorious are waiting, and the other ones are also waiting. The 2 Movistar men, Ineos Grenadiers. I think there's a lot of riders will put in a very strong final number of kilometres here. But the man out in front, Michael Storer, he's putting in a stormer of a ride, because 1:47 at the moment. He's been out on the breakaway all day, let's not forget, and at this point you would expect him to be really suffering. So he's putting in a strong performance, but again the distance here and the difficulty of this climb, I think, is going to catch him out in the final number of K, unfortunately.
Großschartner looking looking like he's struggling. No surprise after the tumbles yesterday. And last orders at the bidon bar. I don't think there's anyone going to deny them that. reasonably warm despite what it kind of looks like at the moment, but I guess temperatures tumbling the higher we get up this mountain. De la Cruz still making a bid. Stora still out front. I haven't really dwelt too much on him because it's a story that stayed the same, but he's only 43 seconds in advance of this man upon your screen at the moment. Doing a great job, David de la Cruz. He's got a minute on the peloton as it stands with 8 kilometres to go for the man out front. And still that tempo is being set, and masterfully so, by Damiano Caruso. All credit to him. They've taken on a big job today, Bahrain Victorious. The only team that didn't have anyone in the break originally, Sean, so they had to do all the chasing, and it's something that they've accepted as a task.
Yes, well, they have, and the question is, with the GC standings, the men in the breakaway were way down. We know that Micah was 54 plus minutes down, so it looks and it seems like that they were threatening the stage win from very early in the day.
Stora is going to have company before you know it. He's just in front of that neutral service car up ahead, the blue Shimano vehicle. Meanwhile, this man is closing in and has a minute on the peloton with 7.8 kilometres to go over normal terrain. That may well you may start to think about job being done. And Louis Meintjes is making a reach out here. Here he is, and with a spare man with him as well, and so adding to the drive. Meintjes sitting in 12th place, and this is in response to David de la Cruz. Meintjes and de la Cruz separated at the beginning of the day by 22 seconds, and so Meintjes does not want that spot to go missing, and he's being guided up this mountain by the impressive Czech Jan Hurt. What an impressive team it has been as well, and a few others now really struggling. Mikkel Nieve is going backwards as others come forwards. Guillaume Martin just struggling to hold on, and there is Jeffrey Bouchard, who looked bright a few moments ago. Meanwhile, it's they're making us talk about Intermarché Wanty again, Sean. What a team and what a race they have had.
Yes, and what a ride this man is doing here, and he's been doing it on a number of days when they had the race leader's jersey with Viking. He was really performant in the difficult mountain stages, and again he's sprung into action here, and Meintjes is want to push on here, and as I said, de la Cruz, there's a lot of riders here in the GC standings which to want to hold on to their place, and when you have teammates there, you're going to use them, and that is the problem. But yeah, de la Cruz is really putting in a strong ride, but again, how long will he be allowed to stay out here, and how long will this pace be allowed to be set by some of the teams? There will be riders who will put in these attacks, and still 7.4 kilometres, 9 kilometres we talked about. It seems forever back down this climb, and the time looks like it stopped because the kilometres are not going by at all.
They're not, but this man is just about to reach that plateau you were talking about, Sean, before the last range of Hurt hoves into view.
Yes, we can see here he realises that he's going to be caught by de la Cruz, and he's just taking a little bit of a rest here, having a drink, and he knows that this is going to be a difficult one, and he's going to try and latch on to de la Cruz, and it'll be interesting now to see how much that Stora have left in the tank after this big long ride here today.
Well, it looks into the face of de la Cruz to kind of see what condition he was in, I think, and as to whether he's going to be capable of latching onto the back of him. How much of a threat potentially, because it may well be he doesn't get to look into his visage terribly much beyond that. 55 seconds then is the gap, and the attrition rate continues. Bardet still holding on to the coattails here, as you can see. That's Kruiswijk just on the back of Sepp Kuss, and yet again still being led up this mountain by Primož Roglic himself as part of that team. He loves to have full vision, does Roglic. Meanwhile, Louis Meintjes looking very fresh, Sean, I must say.
Yes, well, they're doing a lot of damage here. You can see 48 seconds, to the two men out in front is coming down quickly and is causing the damage there. You can see, this group has been, reduced down to a small number of riders. And you can see the way everyone is just in one line, following each other. That tells the pace is quite strong. And we can see Bardet there. He's just hanging on here. And it's nice to see a team like that, Intermarché who've had huge success, and to be up here in the fight and control the race. It's a great place to be, and magnificent performance by the riders.
De La Cruz looks back, flicks his arm out at the same time to say, come on, do some work, and Storer gives him a dead-eye stare through those spectacles, which he's still wearing, dark lenses in this kind of visibility. It's a strange one. Shakes his head and said, you've got to be kidding, there's no way I'm coming through at the moment, Sean. That was a moment.
Yes, well, I think it's understandable because Storer has been out in front, for a long time on his own, out in the breakaway. So he is, I reckon he's running out of energy. And if you're starting to feel it, you just sit on the rider for as long as possible, see what happened, from behind, and leave the fresher man that come up to you set the pace.
Exactly. 6.4 kilometres from the top, we're into the cloud line, hence the absence of aerial pictures at the moment. So it's going to be rider's eye view almost, as you can see. And we're getting into the moisture as well. So it's that drizzly cloud just hanging in the air, heavy with security, as you can see, as you'd expect with the fans here getting very close to the riders. And the reason for that, Sean, is that it's a very narrow road and it gets even thinner to the top.
Yes, well, we can see here it's reduced quite a lot from where we see the main peloton on at the moment. They hang the right here, and then it just gets much of a narrow road here as we are about to come to it with the main group of contenders. But the way the peloton is now, the group here, it's a small group, so it's not going to be a problem, and I think there's going to be a sufficient room for everybody. And if you're hanging here on the rear, of course you're a bit too far off if there's attacks up front, but there's a reason as well you're further back maybe. But we can see Roglic, he's just sitting back there a long ways watching to the other riders, but he can afford to do that because the advantage he has in the GC standings, he's going to leave the other riders just mark each other, control each other, and they are going to start thinking about the general classification. So he's going to use that, and with the buffer of an advantage he have, well, he can do it big time.
This is where it gets very cruel. You're lulled into a false sense of security at this moment, and then all of a sudden it's going to get very rude, I'm afraid. So, the two men out front, it's Michael Storer who's in the original breakaway, and still the pace is being set here, brilliantly so by Jan Hurt. Louis Meintjes on his back wheel, just tucked in behind, as you can see on this mountain sprint essentially. It says they're on the easier section just for now, before all hell breaks loose once more. Tucked in behind them, Gino Mader and of course Jack Haig, Kuss, Kruijswijk and Roglic all here. Roglic has led his own team up this mountain. Bardet just hanging on the back. You can see Bernal tucked in there as well, and Adam Yates is bouncing nicely up towards the fore. I think Adam Yates is going to try something in a short while. Very much looking forward to that. De La Cruz is on his own. Well, there you are. Storer, can't see him at the moment. I don't know whether, but 34 seconds back indeed to that group that's being led on at the moment, brilliantly so by Intermarché Wanty, with Louis Meintjes clearly wanting to make a statement today. Here he is. How loud and proud will it be at the end? And his teammate Jan Hurt is doing all kinds of acrobatics, and just look at his face, Sean. He's very close to the limit. He's going to have to pull over soon. Surely this is amazing.
Yes, he's doing an amazing job, and you can see the way everybody is working behind to stay in contact with this group. But he's that sort of rider, the style he has. We can see, the way he moves a lot on the bike, and he's been doing that now for quite a long time. The question is, how long more can he last? And then when that's finished for Jan Hurt, who is going to take it up? And we can see Storer just about to be pulled back by this group of big favourites.
Well, a face of disappointment, but he's done an amazing job, and he should be in the King of the Mountains jersey. It depends on how the day finishes, with all of the points up for grabs, and Bardet is still here. You never know, there might be some managed points offered up to Bardet late on, but he looks like he's struggling, as just about everybody will be at the moment. Jan Hurt continues to pour on the hurt at the front. I can't believe the ride he's had. Just tucked in behind him is Louis Meintjes, and now making a move. Kruijswijk is just coming up. As you can see, he's starting to do a bit of guiding. Roglic has sent him forward. He still has Sepp Kuss on his back wheel. Kuss wearing the number 6 here. Meanwhile, the outrunners, there's no room for you, my friend. Get out of the road. They want to look through and past these guys. One wrong footing from these fans, and Meintjes says, get out of the way. Quite right too, and it's nice that Meintjes has got the wherewithal and indeed the power to do so. Meanwhile, a man who set a dream that apparently was not to come true. De La Cruz still holds a margin of 43 seconds, Sean, with 4.8 kilometres to go. This is remarkable.
Yes, it is. It's a really strong ride.
Look at this.
As we can see the move behind.
The two amigos go again. They were full of great respect for each other yesterday, and now they have come into play yet again. Bernal with Roglic have set off, and it's a big question, and the only person who looks like he can answer it is Miguel Angel Lopez, and on his back wheel, of course, is Sepp Kuss riding into defend, wearing that Marshal's badge, I think you might say. Let's wait and see how this one pans out, and it's Bardet that struggles just a little bit. That looks like Adam Yates at the back of that group as well, and in fact Yates is indeed still on very much in contention. We'll wait and see, but he's got to bridge over to these guys, and they've got a gap at the moment. Meintjes, after doing so much work with Jan Hurt, just drifts off the back for the time being, and here is that statement, I'm afraid, from Adam Yates at the back, and there's a gap opening up here, and it's not going to be bridged by Meintjes as part of that group. Here we go then, big shuffling, and still Sepp Kuss is there if required. The issue's a little bit of spittle, no surprise at a moment like this. 4.5 to go. Bernal it is on the front with Roglic on his back wheel. Both of the Movistar men, Mas and Lopez, still in the frame, and it's 29 seconds only to De La Cruz, and it looks like the dream is turning into a nightmare. It's Bernal again who's animating the day, Sean.
Yes, well, a big push on by Bernal here, and we can see he has, some of the big favourites here for the stage victory, and they're all just waiting and just following the pace being set by Bernal. And we did see Meintjes there trying to get across. We can see him there just up ahead, and I know he's there in that group, so he is certainly moving up in the GC standings, because a lot of the men in front of him are further back down the mountain here. So that was the reason he had his teammate pushing on, but Bernal, he is the one who's really put the pressure on here and split this group of the main favourites.
Blue sky thinking in the gloom here, and this man David De La Cruz still has a dream. Wow. And Roglic has a dream as well, and it's crushing absolutely everybody for the time being. Let's have a look. Sepp Kuss it is that's going to set the pace right now, and Bernal just goes to the back of this group, looking back through the gloom. You can just see hanging on Gino Maeda and Jack Haig trying to bridge over. If they do, they'll bring Adam Yates and indeed Louis Meintjes back into contention. 4 kilometres to go, and suddenly it's kicking up to 10.6%. This is as nothing compared to what they're going to be dealing with late on at 17%. And still David De La Cruz pushes on. 4 kilometres to go and 25 seconds margin for the Spaniard. It's a great ride for him, Sean, but there's still, I know it's only 4 kilometres, but that's a long way with this kind of inclines.
Yes, it is a big way, 4 kilometres, and there's 27 seconds advantage, and we can see the attacks are going to come here, and Lopez is the one who puts it in, and this is where the advantage will just come down rapidly out to the man leading on the road.
Big moments for Miguel Angel Lopez. Kuss looks behind, almost asks, as you can see silently, of Roglic whether he wants this to be chased down just for the time being. It's about the coping pace, of course, for Roglic himself. Meanwhile, Miguel Angel Lopez has pushed on as the rain starts to come down now, but it's not dampening affairs. This is white hot. The group here, as you can see, with Jack Haig, which includes Meintjes and Adam Yates, and he's using the motorcycle here. He's going to have to be called out. This is Lopez we're looking at right now, and he's charging into the gap set by David de la Cruz. Little bit of respite, and then round this little headland and kicks on again. This is going to pick up to 10, 12, and then 14, back down to 12, and up to 17 at the end. David de la Cruz, they're calling out all photographers and vehicles. It's hard to get by here because the road is barely 2 meters wide, as you can see. This man, small in stature but growing exponentially as well in our minds. This is a big push by Miguel Angel Lopez, and it may well be that Movistar get the victory they've been looking for. 16 seconds only, Sean, to David de la Cruz. A brave push by him, but it looks like it's going to be extinguished.
Yes, well, it's a real strong ride by de la Cruz here, and unfortunately, it's not going to be enough because with the man that's coming up now, and with this 3.4 to go, with a real difficult run to the line. If it was, more of a downhill and a little bit up and down, he might have a slim chance of holding on. But when we get to the next section where it does kick up at these huge gradients, I think we will see Lopez coming up very, very quickly, and we cannot see him here in the fog, but it'll be interesting to see what's happened behind as well with Seb Kuss, because he was starting to set the pace for Primož Roglic, and with 3.2 to go, they're all very much in it here. We can see Kuss still pushing on here, and a lot of the other riders, Jack Hay getting back in there with some of these teammates. Yates also there on the back of the group. Meintjes is still here, so yeah, it's a one now in the final 3 kilometres. It's all going to be a question: is the man Miguel Angel Lopez strong enough to hold off this group?
10 seconds in abeyance, Miguel Angel Lopez. There is the man he's been hunting down, and a little hole in the cloud here gives us a bit more visibility. You can see the gap between the pair of them. It's a handful of seconds, well, 2 handfuls I should say, minus the thumb for the time being. David de la Cruz out front, Miguel Angel Lopez chasing him down, and not that far behind is Roglic, Kuss, Bernal, Mas, with Jack Haig, Gino Maida, Adam Yates and Louis Meintjes. What a battle, and almost added to the drama, Sean, the cloud here, but coming through them, almost elevating out of the top of the cloud here. What a battle we've got here. We expected it, and it's living up to expectations.
Yes, it is, and with the pace being set by Kuss here, it's difficult for anybody to think of attacking on this gradient. It's so difficult when a rider like Seb Kuss starts setting the pace. It's really difficult for any of the others to think about attacking, and we see Lopez when he went there was a little bit of just a slowdown in that group of Roglic and Bernal, and then Miguel Angel Lopez hit it and he got the gap, and everybody looks of course to the other ones because Roglic not worried about Lopez. He's a long ways down in the general classification. His teammate Mats from Movistar, he wasn't going to move, and now Miguel Angel Lopez looks like he could go all the way here, but 28 seconds with 2.8 to go. This is a little bit less than 28 seconds, but he's about to catch up here with the leader on the road, David de la Cruz, but again, will it be enough to go all the way?
I was just wondering if Kuss had been given the right to fight and go off here. Let us see. And I'm afraid a little bomblet has gone off for de la Cruz, and the man has pulled the pin and comes straight by Miguel Angel Lopez. There he goes. A victory for Movistar would put a sticking plaster on their race here. And Miguel Angel Lopez will be hoping to get himself a firmer position on the overall podium as well. A stage win on the Queen stage would go a long way to cheering them up, I think it's fair to say. And Lopez it is out front at the moment by a margin of 28 seconds. Catch me if you can. And well, who's going to be allowed to go? Kuss still doing the pacing, Mas on his wheel, Roglic tucked in there as well ahead of Bernal, and Adam Yates just off the back momentarily. Louis Meintjes has come up indeed to give himself a good position. How much of a worry he'll be is to those around the top 10, we shall see. But for the time being, 2.4 kilometres from home, 31 seconds. It looks like it may well hold this, but the hardest part of the climb is at the very last, Sean. I must say that Miguel Angel Lopez looks equal to it.
Yes, he does. He looks real good here, and of course he's a small lightweight rider, a climber, and on the steep gradients that's where he is really performant, and we can see 32 seconds and Kuss still setting the pace. It will take a rider like Primož Roglic or Bernal who can put in a really strong 1500 metres here to the end to close this one down, because the gap is starting to grow out. 34 seconds at the moment with just 2.2 to go.
So what have these 2.2 kilometres got? 14%, dipping to 12.5%, and then climbing to 17% all the way to the line. So it's not going to be extinguished very quickly, and the gap at the moment is accelerating, and as does this man Sepp Kuss, still very mindful of his principal Roglic, who's further back. And there's the gap here, and it's a chasm between Miguel Angel Lopez and David de la Cruz as they come by the 2 kilometre mark. And here goes Roglic. He's got Mas on his wheel and Bernal tucked in as well, and that looks like Bahrain victorious. Can they possibly find anything left here? Menke still tucked in and streamed behind both Haig and Maida, but this is Roglic yet again, and look at the determination on his face, Sean. This is amazing.
Well, this is Roglic again today. He's putting in these performances, and as I said just a moment ago, it would take a Roglic attack here or a Bernal to try and close this one down. We can see he's taking a couple of seconds off, inside 2 kilometres to go, and if he can keep it going, if he wants to keep it going, or maybe more so can keep it going, depend on how he's feeling after the big effort he put in yesterday. But you can see there Mas and Bernal sitting pretty looking pretty okay for the moment, but 32 seconds is not coming down rapidly. But again, Roglic, he just puts in these accelerations. You can see a one there just at that moment there, and that's where he puts his men in difficulty, as we can see that man was out in front being pulled back.
Sepp Kuss just ebbing, but meanwhile Miguel Angel Lopez is flowing. 30 seconds, 1700 metres to go. But we remind you again, the toughest part of this climb in terms of the inclines is up the road, and going up the road is Bernal. Again, after yesterday and all the effort, maybe disappointment, could he reach out and grab this? Let's see. In his crosshairs is Miguel Angel Lopez, and I'm afraid it's gone pop for those who are trying to stay with these guys. Absolutely remarkable riding, amazing. Louis Menke, I'm afraid, is now with Haig and Maida, and the toughest part of the test, and the man who wanted to stand up and be counted, is Bernal. He's been wound in by Roglic yet again. How cruel is that? Whatever you throw at Roglic, it seems he can stand up to it. And 25 seconds still, 1500 metres to go for Miguel Angel Lopez potentially to take a famous stage win on this first time up this amazing climb. It's been a battle royal, Sean. It's been worthy of the billing.
Yes, it is, and the men we have here in the earlier part of the race, Roglic and Enric Mas were the ones who were showing the best form in these uphill finishes. Now Bernal has got into a better shape in the past number of days. He showed it yesterday, he's shown it again today here. 28 seconds, 29 seconds for the moment as we get ever so close to the finish. 1300 metres to go. I think this one is going to be for Miguel Angel Lopez, unless Primož Roglic puts in one of those sprints where he gets down on the drops and he just goes, but it's difficult to see anybody closing on the man leading for Movistar, Miguel Angel Lopez.
Well, they're thinking about it, and the man who's thinking about it most of all is Bernal, and Roglic just plonks himself back down in the seat. Bernal stays out of it, and Mas is still out of the seat as well. And this is where Roglic starts to spin up. 29 seconds, 28 seconds, 1200 metres to go for Miguel Angel Lopez, and Bernal is driving into this. 19% we're on at the moment, and they are sprinting, Sean. This is phenomenal.
Yes, well, this is the section where you just have the real super climbers, these ones that we have seen here chasing Miguel Angel Lopez, who is a real climber. Then we have Bernal. We know that Primož Roglic, he's an excellent climber, and of course Enric Mas. So the cream is coming to the top on the terrain where you would expect it to be.
Absolutely. Well, for many pre-race favourites, of course, Bernal and Roglic, they're locked together with Mas on their back wheel, who's not going to give him a turn because his teammates up front here, 23 seconds, just losing another second. I think he's got enough in hand as he comes up to the Flamme Rouge. Security here trying to keep the fans at bay. It's a big result for the Spanish team. It'll be a Colombian, though, I think, that's going to take the day. That's if it's not a Slovenian. And here we go. Bernal looks like he is now spent his resources for the day, and Roglic is setting off here. 900 metres to go with Miguel Angel Lopez there, and Bernal now looks like he's hanging on as Roglic grinds into the day, or what's left of it for the time being. Mas still hanging there. He's been well, can you be helped on an incline such as this? Well, at least I guess psychologically so, but a big blow, a statement is going to be made by Miguel Angel Lopez, who's out front just for the time being, but Roglic has stood loud and proud in the red jersey, and to my mind he's made that more secure than ever, with still the time trial to come, we remind you. Let us wait and see. Miguel Angel Lopez looks like he's going to take the day, but and he's skipping up it, Sean. We're heading for 17 and 20% right now.
Yes, we can see 25 seconds, and he's inside the final 800 metres here, but he's on a real steep gradient. We can see it's Roglic and Bernal who are, keep on pushing there, and Roglic is just keeping a strong pace there, because you have to do that on such a steep gradient here. If you slow her down, then the punchers and the real climbers like Bernal can really, kill you when they put in those attacks. And you can see Roglic just still grinding away there. In the meantime, Mas, there's nothing he can do, only follow the two other riders, because he has his teammate out in front going for the stage win.
Just worry about that flag, keep it away from the mech. And meanwhile, here is Roglic right now, not seeking to find any smooth road. It's about your coping pace when the inclines are like this, and when we've had back-to-back days of this sort of test, he stood up to it and been equal to it, the man wearing the red jersey. And Bernal just loses a bike length here. Mas still, it might be a 1-2 for Movistar after the 1-2 for Jumbo-Visma yesterday. And to be honest, I think they possibly deserve it as well. They've had the guts to go for it today. And this man here, into the cloud, is now into the last 500 metres of the day, Sean. It looks like his.
Yes, well, it's definitely the stage victory for Miguel Angel Lopez and for Movistar. And, they set up the day as well. Let's not forget they rode in the valley into the climb. They put on, a real fast pace to make sure that they pull back all the breakaway and to set up their two men here, the man who was going to go on and win the stage. And also we can see Mas, and when there's a team out in front and you're feeling good, there's nothing you can do. You just have to mark the two men who are pushing on here, and for Mas that was the situation he found himself in. Maybe he would have been thinking, if those guys can just pull back my teammate, then I can go for a stage victory. But there's nothing. You had to go to team orders, the tactic, and that's what Enric Mas is doing, just marking the two men, Roglic and Bernal.
No crowd allowed at beyond the 300 metre mark, and there's a wisdom to that, because the road is very, very narrow, and indeed so is our view, I guess, ever more narrowing as to who is going to win this race. Primož Roglic started the day as in a commanding position, and despite the fact that the day is going to be taken by Miguel Angel Lopez, he moves ever closer to the title for the third time in a row. Meanwhile, out of the gloom, it's remarkable. Just look at the flare on the lights here, and flare, poise and indeed power has been displayed by Miguel Angel Lopez. 17%. How mean is that at the end of a day like this, after a day like yesterday? Wonderful. Out of the gloom comes light, and Miguel Angel Lopez is going to lighten the mood on the Movistar bus with a spectacular victory here. The Colombian brings it home. Chapeau, sir, what a drive that was, and chapeau to Movistar as well for just keeping the faith that they could take one, and they've taken the biggest one. And here comes Roglic as well. He's going to get bonus seconds yet again. Mas rounds, of course, Bernal. Roglic crosses the line now. About 15 seconds he gave away to Miguel Angel Lopez by the end. Weaving across the line comes Mas. Breaking that timing gate as well comes Bernal. The leading four protagonists, and they were locked together. Further back down the mountain, Jack Haig and Gino Maida still together here. Louis Meintjes also tucked in with the very, very brave David de la Cruz, who rolled the dice at the bottom of this mountain but just did not quite have the power to deliver. They're in the last 50 metres on this 17%, Sean. What a cruel day, but what a great winner we've had as well.
Yes, we had a super winner, and of course they have been working on this. Movistar trying to set up their two climbers, and it's worked out for them today. And Miguel Angel Lopez, he picked his moment well, I think, when there was an attack out of this group. We see coming in now, when it did split, he decided to go and push on, and he was given that little bit of time there before Bernal started to push on with Roglic, but he had enough advantage, but he also had the power there. We could see Miguel Angel Lopez, this sort of terrain, super high gradients. He is a lightweight rider, a climber, and a fabulous performance to get his stage victory in this Vuelta.
Kruijswijk coming in, Sepkus finishing 9th on the day, just ahead of Adam Yates. Louis Meintjes, great performance by him, superb for the South African in 8th place. Ahead of him finished Gino Maida. David de la Cruz 6th on the day. Jack Haig coming home in 5th. Egan Bernal 4th. Mas, Roglic and Lopez our winner. What an amazing stage. Enormous time gaps there will be. And the pace of the day, we start to wonder as well about cut-offs as well. And look at that. For the second day, we see a rider crossing the line and just punching the air in relief, apart from anything else, Sean. But a worthy winner we have most certainly has, as the clock rolls on and takes a toll on many.
Yes, well, of course, Miguel Angel Lopez, we know he had a difficult start to the season, had COVID. The early part of the season was a real difficult one for him, but again, another, big champion. You just keep on working out on it, you keep on fighting, and it does come right, and he's got, his stage victory here, and the big stage of this Vuelta.
There they are, all the big names. On the day, Lopez takes it. Roglic with an enhanced position overall. Mas in 3rd ahead of Bernal, and Haig your top 5 on what was a spectacular day of racing on this Vuelta. Sean, I absolutely loved that.
Yes, well, it was a stage as we forecasted. It was always going to be a big battle between the big favourites. It looked like the breakaway might go away, but no, it came down to the battle between the big riders here in this Queen stage of the Vuelta.
Let's catch up with Bernie and Alberto for their thoughts about what Miguel Angel Lopez has just done. Well, despite the fact that it is we are still waiting for a Spanish winner, a Spanish team have got their victory courtesy of the efforts of this phenomenal Colombian who's delivered today.
Alberto, you are right. This was an entertaining stage. We had so many riders out there. Michael Storer, impressive ride, but the strongest rider definitely was Miguel Angel Lopez. It reminded me a lot of his stage win last year in the Tour de France, winning on Col de la Loz in front of Primož Roglic. So absolutely impressive.
Sí, ha demostrado en estas rampas que era el más fuerte.
He showed that. He was the strongest on these steep ramps. We were waiting, of course, for an attack from Roglic for many minutes. It was very short and sharp. All the GC contenders just couldn't make any moves on each other, except for Lopez, of course.
You're right, and
didn't have the strength Ineos to make an impression today either, he says.
I didn't really like the style or the tactics of Bahrain Victorious today, because they took the race on, but it was missing the speed really to break it up, but also not really clear goal. Stage win, Mountain Jersey, they ended up with pretty much nothing, except a strong ride by the team. I give them that.
Ya, pero bueno, ya sabes que esto no son matemáticas. Esto.
It's not about mathematics. Sometimes you got the legs, sometimes you don't.
y luego en la parte final era
And
todo lo
on
contrario,
the
¿no? No
parts
se ha encontrado
of the
bien,
stage
hasta
where
el
they
final.
were able to make an impression, they did.
Matemáticas, pero bueno, han
Just
hecho
on the
un
last
auténtico
climb,
carrerón. Una pena, pues, que
you
al
know,
final
it's not about
se ha quedado
maths,
un poquito después
it's
de tanto trabajo,
cycling.
pero esto es el ciclismo.
And after such a great job, they just didn't take advantage.
Now, it is a beautiful climb, especially when it's not foggy as today, but it's a great view up here, and I think this climb will stay in the Vuelta.
I certainly hope so, Sean. It's been an amazing test. It's a shame we had some cloud to spoil the view, but I think we're going to be coming back. This is what it looks like overall. 2 minutes and 30 now. Roglic leads. Enric Mas nearest to him, and a gap of 23 seconds between the Movistar teammates. Jack Haig in fourth place, 4 minutes and 36 down now on Roglic. We'll be speaking to Jack Haig about their tactics in a few moments' time. Egan Bernal is in fifth, ahead of Adam Yates, Kuss and Maida, as you saw. Let's speak to Jack Haig, whose team did so much today. They were busy.
Jack, what a final this last climb was. Really, really hard. The team did an amazing work today.
Yeah, the team rode super well today. I'm really happy the work that they did, and yeah, this final climb's brutal. Super steep and quite cold now up top.
The team did the job behind the breakaway. It was for the stage, maybe we thought, but
It was a little bit for team's classification, as well as I just wanted a really hard day to see if anyone cracked. We had a really hard day yesterday, and I thought we put everyone under pressure. We ride super hard all day, a really hard tempo, and maybe someone will crack on the final climb, but everyone was super strong, and I'm not sure GC changed too much.
yes, and Gino did an amazing work to stay not too far from Roglic.
I can't say enough good things about Gino. He's ridden amazing the last 2 days, and today was awesome again. And Wout, Caruso, Jan, everyone, to be honest, Yuki, everyone is super strong, and Mark Padun as well.
So hard, but happy with the result at the end.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jack.
It certainly was a tough tempo that he demanded, and he got what he asked for. This is how it checks out overall. One change, and that is Stora is the king of the mountains. And indeed, as the mountains tests start to ebb, maybe he'll take that as his prize. It'll all be down to breakaways, of which he was part of today, was he not? Well, we're going to hear from Steven Kruiswijk about his day, and indeed that of his teammates.
So Steven Kruiswijk is here with us. Steven, first of all, tell me how hard was this new climb?
Yeah, it was quite hard, especially long. Starting with a big wide road that's, I don't think it's steep, but it's taking ages, and then you have to still to do the hardest part here. But yeah, especially in the 3 weeks, this climb is killing me.
So Lopez won today, got a few seconds here, but Primoz, he looked really good today as well.
Yeah,
came in second.
I think Primoz is in a great shape, and he's controlling a lot. And yeah, we always saw yesterday he put a big fight. So he just said he was doubting yesterday because today was another really hard stage, but yeah, I think everybody is suffering because again it was a really hard pace today, the whole day, and then you see in the end is fighting everybody for itself and for his place, and I think Primoz is a great leader, and he knows what he has to do, and yeah. We are very confident going into the weekend.
Exactly, because 2 hilly stages coming up, 1 time trial coming up. I mean, that looks really, really good.
Yeah, we have to wait and see, but it's for sure in our favor that Sunday is a TT, and I think Saturday can be still a tricky stage. But yeah, also if you see the team is pretty good. We're always there with a lot of guys. I think today also with the last 10 we are there with 3 of us, and we have great support from the team all day, and so I'm confident we can manage it. So yeah, we try to do our best.
Dankjewel, man.
Here.
U reist terug.
And the bests. Certainly good enough. We're going to speak to Gino Almeida in a few moments' time. Lopez then taking the day. 14 seconds clear of Primož Roglic, who gets some bonus seconds again and extends his lead overall. On the chase is Mas and of course today's winner Lopez. So let's speak to the Swiss Gino, who did so much work today for of course Jack Haig. Here he is.
Gino, he just said you're looking forward to have a glass of red wine to warm up a little bit. It's like, I have to admit, I just said in the live that I wasn't too happy with your team's riding. It's like you rode hard, but you happy with the outcome of today, or did you expect more?
Wow. I mean, in the end, personally, I'm just really happy it's over and done. It's a really, really hard day, and yeah, well, we pulled all day. We burned some matches. Not being in the break, I think we had to suffer for that one. But yeah, in the end, I mean, we did a solid job. We couldn't stay with the Bernals and Roglic, but still it was a good race.
I see you shaking. I'll let you go now, warm up. And
thank you. See you.
Well, it sounds, Sean, if you're still with us, that they did intend to get somebody in the break. It didn't quite work out for them.
No, unfortunately, but you have to try, and as we heard Jack Haig saying, make a difficult pace, make a very heavy pace for the riders, and hopefully you can put the men that you need to in difficulty on the final climb.
Let's check out that King of the Mountains classification, shall we, for you. Stora leads by just 5 points from Roman Bardet. They kind of look like they own it for the time being, but watch out for Primož Roglic, because we've got the penultimate day has 5 climbs on it, and you just never know. He might get greedy if he's saving his matches for the time trial, though. Stora, Bardet, DSM, one of them, it looks like. Well, we started off with some brightness, but the mountains were beckoning and some inclement weather as well. The Gamoniteiru was waiting